Have you ever stopped to wonder why certain people appear in your life exactly when you need them most? Why some encounters leave a mark so deep, you feel as if those individuals were sent not by mere chance, but by a force far greater than us? Imagine waking up one day realizing that every person who crosses your path carries a message, a lesson or a gift tailored uniquely for you. What if the pain of a betrayal, the quiet presence of a... Today, we dive deep into a timeless truth. People do not come into our lives by accident. From the bustling streets of New York to the serene forests of Montana, from intimate friendships to challenging foes, each relationship is a thread in the intricate tapestry of our existence. This is not mere philosophy, it is a living, breathing reality revealed through stories of transformation, resilience, and profound spiritual wisdom. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what you will hear has the power to change the way you see your relationships, your struggles, and even yourself. These stories are not just tales from distant lands, they are mirrors reflecting your own journey, keys unlocking the doors to healing and deeper connection. Before we begin this journey together, please take a moment to subscribe to Buddhism in every moment and turn on notifications. Your support fuels the creation of content that nurtures your soul and guides you toward wisdom every day. Are you ready to uncover the hidden purposes behind the people in your life? To learn how every encounter can lead to your spiritual growth and peace. Let's begin. The silent wisdom of Master Ryo, understanding in spoken lessons. In the tranquil mountains of Kyoto, Japan, stood a centuries-old temple where cherry blossoms danced in the gentle spring breeze. Master Ryo, an elderly monk with a calm and compassionate demeanor, sat under the grand cherry tree, his serene gaze lost in the beauty of the falling petals. Ayako, a young and curious disciple, approached Master Ryo with a troubled heart. Her thoughts were a storm of confusion. People had come into her life, some bringing joy, while others caused her pain. Unable to understand the purpose of these encounters, she sought wisdom from her master. Master Ryo, Ayako began, her voice tinged with hesitation. Why do some people enter our lives only to hurt us? Are they meant to bring suffering? Master Ryo smiled gently, his eyes still fixed on the falling petals. Ayako, have you ever watched the shadows dance beneath this tree? They shift, change, and sometimes even darken the ground. But without those shadows, you would never appreciate the light. Confused, Ayako frowned. But Master, how can those who hurt us be like shadows? Don't they simply bring pain? Master Ryo turned to her, his wise gaze piercing yet warm. Some people are like shadows, Ayako. They do not speak, yet they teach. They bring darkness, yet they make you see the light. They may bring you pain, but that pain is a hidden blessing. Ayako remembered her own life, a friend who had betrayed her trust, a mentor who belittled her dreams, a lover who walked away without explanation. Each had left a wound in her heart. But as she listened to Master Ryo's words, a sense of clarity began to bloom within her. Master, are you saying that even those who hurt us are our teachers? She asked. Yes, Master Ryo nodded, for they teach you resilience, forgiveness, and self-worth, just as the cherry blossoms eventually fall to make way for new growth. Those who bring you pain make way for wisdom and strength. A tear slipped down Ayako's cheek as she whispered, "But it hurts, Master." Master Ryo leaned forward, gently wiping the tear from her cheek. Pain is a teacher, Ayako, and like all great teachers, it is not always kind, but it is always honest. That night, as Ayako returned to her small room in the temple, she felt a quiet sense of peace. For the first time, she saw her painful memories not as curses, but as lessons, silent teachers who had shaped her spirit. Over the years, Ayako continued to study under Master Ryo. She met many more people, some kind, some cruel, some indifferent, but no matter the nature of their presence, she remembered her master's words. Every shadow has a light behind it. Every wound is a doorway to wisdom. In the lush, rolling hills of Napa Valley, California, where vineyards stretched across the golden landscape and the mist rolled in with the morning breeze, lived Koa, a young and passionate winemaker. His vineyards were a lush, green paradise, and his wines had begun to earn a quiet, devoted following. But beneath his cheerful demeanor, Koa carried a silent ache, a wound left by someone he once called a friend. That someone was Lean, a childhood companion. They had grown up together, running between the vines, dreaming of a future filled with prosperity. But as Koa's vineyard flourished, as his reputation grew, a shadow darkened Lean's heart. Envy took root, twisting his once kind soul. He began to whisper among the other vineyard workers, telling them that Koa's success was a product of deception, that he must have used unnatural means to make his vines so bountiful. Whispers became gossip, and soon, Koa found himself shunned by some of his neighbors, their once friendly smiles replaced with cold, suspicious glances. His heart ached, his trust shattered, each time he walked among his vines. The lush green leaves seemed to whisper the cruel rumors back to him. One misty morning, overwhelmed by pain, Koa wandered to the edge of a serene mountain lake that lay just beyond his vineyard. He stared at the still water, his reflection a blur of sadness. As he stood there, a gentle voice broke the silence. "Why do you gaze at the lake with such sorrow, my child?" Koa turned to see a gentle monk dressed in a golden robe, his serene face radiating warmth. In his hands, he held a string of prayer beads, which moved gently between his fingers. "I have lost my friends," Koa whispered, his voice breaking. "They have turned against me. Even my closest friend has become my enemy." The monk nodded, his gaze calm. "Would you like to know a secret, my child?" he asked. He picked up a small, smooth pebble and gently tossed it into the lake. Ripples spread across the water, soft and graceful. "Your pain is like this pebble," the monk continued. "It disturbs the surface for a moment, but soon, the lake returns to its stillness. The same is true of your heart. Those who hurt you are like pebbles. They may disturb your peace, but they cannot change the depth of your soul." "But master, the betrayal, it feels so deep," Koa whispered, his tears falling. The monk smiled, his fingers gently moving over the prayer beads. "Those who hurt you are your greatest teachers. They show you where your heart is vulnerable, where your pride is strong. They force you to see your own expectations, your own fears. They are mirrors, reflecting your soul." Koa stood in silence, the mist swirling around them. "But what should I do? Should I fight them? Should I defend myself?" "Defend your heart, but not with anger. Protect your peace, but not with hatred," the monk replied. "If someone's envy has wounded you, let it be a lesson. Let it teach you compassion, not bitterness. Let it teach you to see the suffering in others, even in those who try to harm you." Koa's heart grew quiet. He stared at the ripples, now fading, the lake returning to its stillness. For the first time, he saw the reflection of the trees, the sky, and the mist, all part of the same tranquil surface. "Will you teach me how to keep my heart as calm as this lake?" Koa asked. The monk's kind smile grew. "Begin by forgiving, not just others, but yourself. Each day, stand by this lake, cast a pebble, watch the ripples, and breathe. Remind yourself that all pain is temporary. And remember, a lake that is still can reflect the heavens." From that day on, Koa would often visit the lake, casting a pebble, watching the ripples, whispering words of forgiveness. His vineyard continued to flourish, but so did his heart. When Lean approached him one day, his eyes filled with regret, Koa embraced him without hesitation. "I was wrong, Koa," Lean whispered, tears in his eyes. "I let envy poison my heart. And I forgive you," Koa replied, his voice warm, "because I know that beneath the envy is a friend I once loved." Their friendship was reborn, but now it was rooted in understanding, in honesty, in compassion. Koa had learned that even the sharpest stones, when touched by patience and kindness, could become smooth. In the misty forests of Redwood National Park, where ancient trees reached toward the heavens and the air was sweet with the scent of pine, lived a young monk named Ethan. Each morning, he would walk the forest trails, his heart calm, his spirit light. But one day, as he wandered through the towering redwoods, a sense of unease gripped him. Dark clouds rolled across the sky, the mist thickened, and the forest that had always felt like a sanctuary seemed to close in around him. Shadows danced among the trees, whispers echoed through the mist. Ethan's heart raced, his mind filled with fear. But then, through the mist, a figure appeared, a gentle monk dressed in a brown robe, his hands calmly holding a string of prayer beads. His face was serene, his gaze warm and understanding. "Why do you fear, young one?" the monk asked, his voice calm. "This forest, it feels like it's hiding something," Ethan whispered, his voice trembling. The monk smiled gently. "The forest is ancient, but it is not evil. Its shadows exist because of the light, and so do yours." Ethan swallowed, his fear still gripping him. "But master, the darkness, it terrifies me." The monk's prayer beads moved gently between his fingers. "Fear is a teacher, just as the light is. It reveals what you have not yet learned. It shows you where your courage must grow." As they walked together, the mist began to clear, and Ethan saw the towering redwoods, their roots deep and strong, their branches reaching for the heavens. "Do you see these trees?" the monk asked. Ethan's breathing slowed, his fear fading. "And how do I make my heart strong, master?" "By facing the shadows without running. By knowing that even in darkness, you are protected. This forest is not your enemy. It is your sanctuary." From that day on, Ethan would walk the misty trails without fear, his heart steady, his mind clear, for he had learned that even the shadows could be guardians, and even the darkness could teach him how to shine. In the heart of New York City, amidst the towering skyscrapers and the never-ending rush of life, there stood an old, quiet stone bridge in Central Park. Beneath it, a gentle stream whispered as it flowed, carrying the secrets of the city to the lake beyond. It was here, on this humble bridge, that Sarah, a struggling young artist, first met Michael, a quiet, humble sculptor whose workshop was tucked away in a narrow alley nearby. Sarah's life in the city was a storm. She had come with dreams of painting masterpieces that would be celebrated in galleries. But instead, she found herself lost in the shadows of doubt. Her canvases felt empty, her colors dull, her inspiration withered. She was alone, her heart heavy with the weight of failure. But each morning, she would come to the stone bridge, her sketchbook in hand, trying to capture the beauty of the park. And each morning, Michael would be there, chiseling away at a block of marble, his hands steady, his expression calm. At first, they were strangers, sharing nothing but the quiet of the park. But over time, Sarah's curiosity grew. She began to watch Michael work, his chisel turning the cold, rough stone into graceful shapes. One day, as a gentle breeze swept through the trees, she gathered the courage to speak. "Your work, it's beautiful," she whispered. Michael smiled, his gaze never leaving the marble. "Thank you, and your sketches, they are filled with life." Sarah's cheeks flushed. "But they're nothing compared to what I want them to be." Michael paused, turning to face her, his gentle eyes meeting hers. "Sometimes, we don't see the beauty in our own work because we are too close to it. But to others, it shines." From that day, a quiet friendship blossomed. Each morning, they would meet at the bridge, Sarah with her sketchbook, Michael with his chisel. They spoke of their dreams, their struggles, their fears. Michael's calm presence became a sanctuary for Sarah, his words a lantern guiding her through the fog of self-doubt. But the world beyond the bridge was not so kind. Critics dismissed Sarah's paintings as amateurish. Rejections piled up, and the light in her heart dimmed. One rainy afternoon, as the gray sky wept over the park, Sarah stood by the bridge, her tears mixing with the raindrops. "I'm nothing, Michael. I'm just a failure," she whispered. Michael stepped beside her, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. No, Sarah, failure is just a step on the path to greatness. A stone is just a stone until it is shaped, until it is polished. So too are you. His words pierced through the darkness of her despair. From that day on, Sarah did not give up. She painted with a renewed passion, not for the critics, but for herself. And Michael continued to chisel his stones, his silent strength a constant presence beside her. Years passed, and Sarah's paintings found their way into galleries. But when asked who inspired her, she never spoke of the critics or the dealers. She spoke of a quiet man on a stone bridge, whose silent strength had saved her. In a small, mist-shrouded town in Maine, there stood an old, forgotten cottage nestled by a quiet lake. Inside, an elderly woman named Grace lived alone, her days spent in quiet solitude. But the cottage was not just a home, it was a sanctuary. For within it hung a peculiar mirror. Its surface was unlike any other, shimmering with a silver light, as though it held secrets beneath its glass. One chilly autumn morning, a young woman named Lily stumbled upon the cottage, lost and weary from her journey. Grace, with her kind eyes and gentle smile, welcomed her in, but Lily's attention was immediately drawn to the strange mirror. "What is that?" Lily asked, her voice filled with wonder. Grace's smile deepened. "It is a mirror of reflection. It shows not just your face, but your soul." Lily laughed, thinking it was just a tale. But as she gazed into the mirror, her smile faded, for instead of her face, she saw a swirling mist, shadows twisting and turning in chaos. "Why does it look like that?" she whispered. "Because your heart is clouded," Grace said softly. "Your doubts, your anger, your fear, they hide your true self." Lily was troubled. Each day, she would gaze into the mirror, hoping to see something clearer, something beautiful. But the mist remained, dark and chaotic. But as days passed, as she spent time with Grace, listening to her stories, sharing her own burdens, and finding peace in the quiet lake outside, the mist in the mirror began to clear. Her reflection grew brighter, her face visible, her smile gentle. But one day, after an argument with Grace, Lily's heart filled with anger. She stormed out of the cottage. But when she returned, the mist had darkened again. Her reflection lost. "I hate it," Lily cried. "Why does it keep changing?" Grace's voice was calm. "Because it reflects your heart. The mirror does not lie, but it can always change." Lily realized that the mirror was not just a piece of glass, it was a window into her soul. Each moment of kindness, of forgiveness, cleared the mist. Each moment of anger or bitterness darkened it. Over time, Lily stopped fearing the mirror. Instead, she began to use it as a guide. When the mist cleared, she knew she was at peace. When it darkened, she searched her heart for the shadows she needed to heal. When the time came for Lily to leave, Grace gave her a small silver locket. "Remember, my dear," she whispered, "the world is a mirror. It reflects what you carry within." Lily left the cottage, but the lesson of the mirror remained in her heart forever. The lantern of the traveler guides in the darkness. On the foggy cliffs of Big Sur, California, where the waves crashed against the jagged rocks and the mist danced among the pines, stood an ancient lighthouse, its beam cut through the darkness, a silent guardian for lost sailors. But it was more than just a lighthouse, it was home to Eleanor, an elderly woman with silver hair and a voice as gentle as the sea breeze. One stormy night, Jack, a young sailor lost in the fog, stumbled upon the lighthouse, his spirit as battered as his ship. Eleanor opened the door, her warm smile a beacon of light. "Lost, are you?" she asked. Jack nodded. "I don't know where I'm going." Eleanor guided him inside, lighting an old lantern. "Sometimes, all you need is a little light to see the way." As the storm howled outside, Jack found peace in the quiet glow of the lantern and Eleanor's gentle stories of the sea. Days turned to weeks, and Jack learned to mend his ship, his spirit healing alongside it. But it was Eleanor's quiet wisdom that stayed with him. "Remember, Jack, She told him one misty morning, "The lighthouse does not move. It stands still, and those who are lost find their way by its light. Be like the lighthouse, stand strong, and let others find their way by the light of your kindness." When the storm finally cleared, Jack sailed away, the lantern gifted to him by Eleanor guiding his way. And though he sailed far, the light of her wisdom shone in his heart, a beacon that never faded. In the shadowed corners of Portland's vast forests, where fog weaves silently through the ancient evergreens, there is a story whispered among the locals, a story of a young traveler named David. David was lost not only on winding forest paths but within the labyrinth of his own fears and uncertainties. Each step he took was heavy with doubt, his heart clouded by the weight of past mistakes and the looming uncertainty of his future. One evening, under the canopy of thick branches, as twilight dimmed the world, David stumbled upon an old hermitage bathed in the soft glow of candlelight. The door creaked open, and there stood a monk, robed in deep ochre, a string of prayer beads loosely wrapped around his wrist. This was Brother Thomas, a figure of calm strength, whose presence felt like a beacon piercing the deepest darkness. David poured out his soul, the fears that shadowed his nights, the isolation that gnawed at his spirit, and the endless searching for a path that seemed always just out of reach. Brother Thomas listened with a patience born of years spent in contemplation. When David finished, the monk spoke, his voice a steady flame in the dark. "The lantern we carry is not just an object of light. It is the symbol of those who walk before us, whose wisdom guides us when our own vision fails. But remember, it is not the lantern alone that lights the path. It is the willingness to walk, to trust, even when the way is uncertain." He led David outside, lifting a brass lantern whose glass flickered with golden flames. "This lantern is a guide, but you must be the one to carry it. Sometimes, the light we seek comes from others, but the courage to move forward must come from within." David realized that in his darkest hours, it was not the absence of fear that defined him, but the choice to carry on despite it. Brother Thomas reminded him that every traveler meets shadows on the road, doubts, grief, loneliness, but the lantern of wisdom, compassion, and faith can illuminate even the bleakest night. The next morning, with the dawn's first light breaking through the mist, David set forth again, lantern in hand, not as a shield against the darkness, but as a promise to himself that he would keep moving, keep learning, and keep trusting the journey. In the vast expanse of the Great Plains near Kansas City, a young woman named Rachel bore invisible wounds. Life had tested her in ways she could barely speak of. Loss, betrayal, and years of inner turmoil had left her spirit fragile. Yet, Rachel carried a quiet determination to find healing not just for herself, but for others. She sought out a revered elder known as Brother Caleb, a monk clothed in humble brown robes, fingers continually turning prayer beads that seemed to echo the steady rhythm of the earth itself. Brother Caleb was known throughout the region not only for his wisdom but for his own journey through pain. His suffering transformed into a wellspring of compassion. Rachel shared her story, how pain had isolated her, how she feared her wounds would never heal. Brother Caleb's gaze was soft but unwavering. "Suffering," he said, "is the crucible in which the soul is forged. It is harsh and relentless, but it can become the source of great strength." He recounted a teaching. "A tree that stands tall has been battered by countless storms. It is not the absence of wind that defines its greatness, but its ability to bend without breaking." Rachel learned that the journey of healing was not about erasing pain, but about embracing it, learning from it, and using it to grow empathy and understanding. Brother Caleb guided her through meditations on compassion, encouraging her to visualize her wounds as places where light could enter. He taught her that by accepting her own suffering, she could open the door to healing not only for herself but for others burdened by pain. In time, Rachel's heart softened. Her suffering became a bridge, connecting her to the suffering of those around her. She found a new purpose, using her own journey to guide others toward healing and hope. Chicago's bustling streets pulse with energy. Yet beneath the noise and haste, the small acts of kindness weave an invisible tapestry of hope. Marcus, a community organizer, knew this truth well. His days were spent battling systemic challenges, uplifting youth who faced harsh realities. But even amidst the chaos, he carried a deep belief in the power of compassion. One afternoon, a gentle monk appeared at Marcus's community center, Brother Anselm, a man of quiet grace, clad in a golden robe, prayer beads clicking softly with each measured step. Brother Anselm spoke of kindness not as grandiose acts but as ripples cast upon the still pond of humanity, small gestures that, when multiplied, create waves of change. He shared stories of ancient communities where kindness was the very fabric holding society together, where even the humblest acts, sharing bread, lending a hand, were revered as sacred. Marcus was inspired. He began to see his work anew, not as a battle against despair but as a dance of compassion. Every smile, every encouragement, every shared meal was a note in the symphony of healing. Brother Anselm reminded him, kindness is an echo that returns to the giver tenfold. It transforms not only the receiver but the world itself. In the red rock canyons of Sedona, Arizona, under skies where stars shimmer like ancient jewels, Isabella stood at the threshold of loss and discovery. Her grandmother, a woman of deep wisdom and boundless love, had passed on, leaving Isabella adrift in the vastness of grief. Seeking solace, Isabella visited a humble chapel perched atop a sun-warmed hill, where Brother Elias, a monk in a brown robe with prayer beads worn smooth from years of devotion, welcomed her with a smile that seemed to carry the light of the cosmos itself. Isabella poured out her sorrow, yearning to hold on to the love and lessons of her grandmother. Brother Elias spoke of stars, how though their light travels across unfathomable distances, it never fades. Our loved ones, he said softly, are like stars in the vast night. Their light continues to shine in the stories we tell, the love we carry, the wisdom we share. He told her that legacy is not in monuments or riches, but in the quiet acts of love and kindness passed from generation to generation. Isabella felt the heaviness in her chest lift as she realized her grandmother's spirit lived on, in her heart, in her choices, in her actions. With renewed purpose, she vowed to live as a star herself, radiant with love, steadfast in wisdom, guiding those around her as her grandmother once guided her. The tapestry of human existence is woven not just with our individual threads, but with the countless encounters, relationships, and moments of connection that color our path. The stories of Ayako in the Colorado mountains, Koa in Napa Valley, Ethan among the redwoods, Sarah by the stone bridge in Central Park, Lily in the misty Maine town, David in Portland's forest, Rachel on the Great Plains, Marcus in Chicago, and Isabella in Sedona reveal a profound truth. People do not come into our lives by chance. Each individual who crosses our path serves a purpose, whether as a mirror, a challenge, a guide, or a teacher. Across diverse American landscapes, urban, rural, mountainous, and coastal, these characters embody universal experiences. They confront pain, betrayal, doubt, loss, and loneliness, yet through their journeys, they learn resilience, compassion, forgiveness, and the beauty of connection. They reveal the essential nature of human relationships as catalysts for spiritual growth and personal transformation. At the heart of these stories lies a gentle monk, ever present, robed in golden or brown simplicity, prayer beads slipping through steady fingers, a symbol of timeless wisdom, patience, and compassion. He teaches that life is not a random series of encounters but a meaningful weave of destinies. A dance orchestrated by forces often unseen but deeply felt. The essence of meeting. Purpose behind every encounter. When Ayako asked why people who loved her hurt her deeply, the monk's answer was illuminating. Those who cause us pain are not enemies but essential teachers, revealing vulnerabilities we might otherwise ignore. Like the mist that veils and reveals light, pain uncovers hidden strengths within us. It is through the shadows of hurt that our hearts learn to shine brighter. Koa's story as a flourishing winemaker shadowed by envy taught us that even betrayal is a form of teaching. The stones cast into his peaceful stream disturbed the surface. But eventually, the waters calmed. The lesson was clear. Pain disturbs us temporarily, but it is also a call to cultivate inner peace and forgiveness. Koa's eventual embrace of his former friend demonstrates the power of compassion to heal even the deepest wounds. Ethan's journey through the redwood forests, where darkness once terrified him, shows the power of courage and presence. By walking with the gentle monk's wisdom, Ethan learned that shadows are not enemies but part of the whole landscape. His strength grew not by fleeing fear but by standing firm with open heart. Grounded like the ancient trees around him. The friendship of Sarah and Michael by Central Park's stone bridge illustrated how true companions on our journey offer us shelter from storms of doubt and despair. Sarah learned that success is sweeter when shared with those who quietly support us through hardships. Michael's steady presence was the lantern that helped Sarah find her way back to hope. Lily's encounter with the mystical mirror of reflection revealed that our perception of ourselves is deeply intertwined with how we relate to others and our inner emotional state. The mirror's shifting images symbolized the fluid nature of identity and the power of self-awareness. Lily's journey to clarity was a metaphor for the spiritual quest to embrace all parts of the self. Light and shadow alike. David, the lost traveler in Portland's fog, showed us that guidance often comes in the form of patient teachers who remind us that the lantern of wisdom must be carried within ourselves. The willingness to walk even when the path is uncertain becomes the true source of light. Rachel's transformation through suffering in the Montana plains demonstrated that pain, while agonizing, holds the potential to become the very source of healing and empathy. Accepting and learning from suffering allows us to become wounded healers, extending compassion born from lived experience to others. Marcus's work in Chicago highlighted the rippling effect of kindness in a fractured world. Small acts, repeated over time, are the echoes that build communities, restore hope, and transform despair into healing. Compassion, even when it feels like a drop in an ocean, creates waves of change. Finally, Isabella's acceptance of her grandmother's legacy in Sedona reminded us that love and wisdom transcend death, living eternally in the hearts of those we touch. Our lives are not isolated flickers but part of a constellation, a collective star map of shared humanity.